Does Monday at the office feel like a storm? Not with Microsoft Copilot. That feeling when Copilot gets everyone up to speed instantly? It's sunny again. When Copilot simplifies complex data so your teams can act, that sun's shining on a beach. And when Copilot uncovers hidden insights, you're on that beach with your people, and you find buried treasure. That's Microsoft Copilot. Learn more at Microsoft.com/AI for all.
Today on CityCast Boise, it's Treefort Week and the party starts this Wednesday. Whether it's your first time or you're curious about what's new this year, our Treefort expert Frankie Barnhill is here to help you make the most of this beloved festival. It's Monday, March 18th. I'm Lindsay Van Allen, and this is what Boise's talking about. Frankie, thanks for being here with me to help me build this incredibly last-minute guide to Treefort.
Hey, it's never too late. As we like to say, happy Treefort Week. We're here. It has arrived. And yeah, there's still plenty of time to get a plan together.
Perfect, because I love a plan. And I've lived in Boise for a while, but my experience with Treefort has been that I mark my calendar to make sure I avoid the chaotic downtown traffic for the weekend. Mm-hmm. But this year, I'm going to Treefort for the first time. And I just wanted to know from an experienced Treefortee or Treeforter.
Sure.
We can go with
either or. Yeah.
Perfect. What's the most important thing to keep in mind or consider when getting ready for the festival?
First off, so excited for you. Top of mind, number one thing, make a plan and hold on to it loosely. That's kind of my headline for a lot of the stuff that we'll talk about in this conversation probably. One of the most beautiful things about Treefort is it really does create opportunities for spontaneous joy. And sometimes you have a really thought out plan and the joy comes through being able to see the artist that you've always wanted to see, who's top of your list, and you're at the front of the venue and you're seeing them and they're just 10 feet away from you, and that's so cool. And other times it's like you wander into a warehouse and there's like this weird performance art thing going on and you're captivated by it and it's cool. Or you stumble into a venue and you find friends you haven't seen in 5 years and you sit down and have a beer and chat with them, and that's how you spend your evening. It could be any or all of those things. And that's what's so fun that's one of the things that I love about this festival so much.
What are some of the unique things about Treefort that are maybe different from other music festivals that would be helpful to know?
Yeah. So for someone who's maybe attended, like a summer festival outdoors somewhere, maybe in Boise or in another state or something like that, this is very different. It's a multi-day festival. It's across 5 full days, multiple venues. And, instead of like being in a field for a couple days and it gets muddy and gross and everybody has to stagger back to their tent at night to try and find some sleep and you're just sleep deprived and stuff. You can tell I don't really like those kind of festivals. You get to go home. If you're a local, you get to go home, sleep in your own bed, take a shower, look cute the next day. It's kind of the glamping of festivals, but in a very Boise kind of way to me.
No, I'm definitely excited to festival and then sleep in my own bed.
Correct. Yes.
That's a big factor for me. So there are a lot of different ticket options. How do I know which pass is right for me?
Great question. So the top of the line one, or the one most people get, is the 5-day pass, and that's $320 with taxes and fees. Of course, that gets to like $360. That gives you all access, gets you into any venue, anytime. So if you're someone who's like, I'm ready to go on Wednesday night, let's go all through Sunday, the 5-day pass is definitely the right one. If you want to spend a little more money, there's the Zipline Pass, which is the more bougie option. It's, I think, $440. So add in taxes and fees, you're coming close to $500. But what the Zipline does is you can skip the line. So if there's a bunch of people waiting there with, the plebeians are standing in line with their 5-day pass, you get to say bye and pass right in front of them and get in before them. But so many people in Boise who attend Treefort, they may not be going for all 5 days, like especially, people who are working 9 to 5s and have families and are busy Wednesday and Thursday night, or certainly don't want to stay out late those evenings because they got to go to work the next day. If you just are planning on going to like Friday shows and Saturday, for example, you could get just the 1-day single passes for both of those days and have a great time. That's a good option and a way to not go overkill. And then, I'd just say, keep in mind, like, be realistic about what you might want to do, and then find the pass that suits you based on that. You can also there are some other, like, tickets, like there's the main stage pass if you just want to hang out at Julia Davis main stage, which is a good time. You can go to Ailfort. You can be there all day, all festival, really, and have a good time, too. And that one's cheaper as well.
Oh, so it sounds like there's really a lot of different options for people.
Yeah.
You can really customize.
Truly. It really is very customizable.
Okay, Frankie, what are the rookie mistakes of Treefort that you've made or that you know other people have made? I don't want to look like, as the children say, a noob.
Okay, we're going to avoid that for you. So, number one thing, it is a festival in Idaho in March. We don't know what the weather will be. Hopefully, it'll be sunny and 70 degrees. It could easily be 15 and snowy. That has happened in the past. I have a very memorable moment watching Sharon Jones, the Dap Kings, in the freezing cold snow at main stage, and it was a fabulous show. She took off her coat and was in her gorgeous sequin dress, and the snow was falling, and it was cold as hell. But I was layered up, so it was good. So I would say the number one thing is people who don't layer. So if you're trying to look too cute, just don't. Like, sure, find some good fits, curate your outfits, but think layers.
Okay.
think comfy shoes. If you have a really rad jacket or something like that you thrifted that you want to show off, outerwear is a great way to show off your personality. Pay attention to the weather as it changes, and your weather app is definitely your friend. And then the other thing I've seen newbies do, and that I've done for sure in the past, is going too hard the first couple nights.
Okay.
I think especially we're elder millennials, so we can talk about this. Like, just be aware of what your energy, what's left in your tank, and maybe don't stay out until 1 a.m. on Wednesday and Thursday nights if you still want to go see headliners on Saturday night and make it through Sunday for drag brunch. So keep all that in mind. It's a long 5 days.
So if your joints crack when you stand up, pace yourself.
Correct.
All right. The next thing I'm going to need to know is, can you bring a bag or backpack into Treefort?
Great question. Yes, you can. There'll be security searches, of course, especially the main stage. And there are, plenty of things you can't take in, pretty obvious things that you can't take in. But having a bag is a smart idea. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Especially with having to go to all those different venues.
Totally.
But my next question with a bag is, I want to be bringing the essentials. So what do I need to bring? And then maybe what are some things that would be nice to bring but aren't essentials? Because that'll get heavy after a few days.
It will, yeah. So first off, I'd make sure you have a bag that has room for your layer. So if you're outside at the main stage and it's cold, and then you want to go inside to Neurolux for a show, you're going to get hot. So have space in your bag for your coat or whatever if you can. A water bottle is a great idea. There'll be water refill stations around the festival. That's smart. Sunscreen could get really sunny. On the other end of the spectrum of what we were talking about with cold weather, you could get a sunburn on Saturday. Who knows? Hand sanitizer, I think that's smart to have these days for sure. Credit cards work at most places, so you don't necessarily need to have cash, though I would say it would be nice to have some small bills, especially to tip your bartender. Those are kind of my essentials. There's also, if you're into beer and you want to hang out at Ailfort, which is part of the main stage complex, you need, and to get beer there, you need a steel cup because Treefort doesn't use like glassware, of course, and also doesn't want to use plastic. So they moved to steel cups several years ago. So you can either get one at the festival or you can like buy one in advance and have it with you.
Okay, Frankie, traffic is going to be rough.
Yep.
And parking is going to be hard to come by. Is there any transportation from like a parking area or locations around Boise to Treefort?
Great question. Yeah. So if you're coming in from not the core of downtown Boise, you're going to have to figure out where to park your car and how to get to the venues and all that. The best thing to know is that there is this thing called the Tree Line Bus, which is Treefort partners with Valley Regional Transit, and they have one of the buses runs, or a couple of the buses, I don't know how many they use, but some of the buses run this special line Wednesday through Saturday, so not on Sunday. And if you have a pass on your wrist, you can get in for free. And it picks you up like let's say you're at the main stage and you're ready to go to Neurolux, but you need to get there quickly because the show's starting in 5 minutes and you don't want to run and it's cold out or whatever. Hop on the bus and you can hopefully get there pretty quickly. And it'll stop along the way. As far as actually parking somewhere and then getting to the venues, I don't have like a great advice except for, thankfully Boise does still have free parking available in a lot of downtown. So maybe find a street where there's free parking and have that be your base. If a friend of yours happens to live nearby, park there. Maybe, Uber down to the main section of Treefort and then, say goodbye to Ubers the rest of the time because they're going to be hella expensive and unnecessary. I mean, the footprint, what's great about Treefort too is as much as, yeah, sure, it's kind of stretched out these days now that the main stage is at Julia Davis, but so many of the venues are still just like a block away from each other. So walking is the best thing you can do. And having Julia Davis and the main stage be right along the Greenbelt means that if you can just hit the Greenbelt with your bike, that is a fabulous and probably the best way to get to the festival and not have to deal with parking.
Which is something none of us want to have to deal with.
No.
Shipping can make or break a sale, so optimize how you ship your orders with ShipStation. They make it easy to automate and manage orders no matter how big your business grows. And they might even be able to help reduce shipping and warehouse costs. So optimize and keep up your momentum for growth with ShipStation. Sign up for your free 60-day trial now at ShipStation.com and use the code POD. That's ShipStation.com with the code POD.
So, Frankie, I'm really curious about your opinion on this. One of my kids really enjoys indie music. And I was thinking about maybe inviting them to come to Treefort with me. Do you have any tips of ways I can incorporate them into my festival plans?
Yay, a little indie music lover. I love it. Okay, so Treefort has been very intentional the last few years, especially of trying to have more and more under 21 venues available because the folks behind it, the Duck Club folks, we talked with Eric Gilbert a few weeks ago, and he mentioned this too. The idea of building up our music scene and having starts with young people. And if young people can't go and see live music, then it kind of dies. So there are a lot of under 21 venues. I think like half of the venues actually are all under 21. So as long as your kid has a wristband, they can get into any of those with you or by themselves. And I think the under 21 passes are $170. So cheaper than the adult passes. Yeah. And then, of course, if you have younger kids or if people want to bring their younger kids too, there's Kidfort, which is a whole other thing. But basically, like play areas for your kids. There'll be activities to do. Treefort has giant puppets. They will come out to play on the weekend, but they probably will be around the Kidfort area too. So I think for young kids, there's like a lot of fun to be had, and parents don't have to feel like they can't take their kids to the festival. And then, for like teens and stuff, it just seems like I would have loved to have been like 15 or 16 when Treefort and have Treefort be available to me. It would be so much fun.
Yeah. And like you said, so many of the indie bands that come, it's at 21 plus clubs. So
Right.
I'm not able to take them. So this would be really a great opportunity to get to share a concert festival experience with them.
Totally.
Okay. Now that I've got some of the basic prep down, I'm looking through the schedule and I'm starting to feel a little overwhelmed with all the different venues and the stacked start times. So, Frankie, how have you effectively used the schedule to build a fun festival experience?
Yeah. And that's the thing is that it can be overwhelming, especially, I mean, I'm generally an introvert. And so there's kind of like that maxed out socialization and just being out in the world. It can be a lot, but I also love music. And so finding a balance, it's tricky, but it can be done. I think, like I said, using the app, go through the schedule, think about the artists that you're like number one, like absolutely priorities, make those, I'm going to that, and whatever happens outside of that can be a little bit looser. I think that helps a lot, just thinking through, and then you can kind of go like day by day and go like, you know what, I thought I was going to have a lot of energy, but I want to keep it kind of chill. Maybe I'll just hit up 2 of my planned artists tonight. Yeah, it's a balancing act, I would say, but there's definitely ways to make sure that you're seeing what you absolutely want to see, and then kind of letting some things just fall away if it doesn't feel right in the moment.
And going through the lineup, like you said, I'm in the app, I'm looking at all of these musicians, all these groups, and I don't know if I should be embarrassed to say this, but there are a lot of them that I'm unfamiliar with.
Sure. Yeah.
But it feels like that's part of Treefort. That's part of the experience, is getting to enjoy musicians and groups that you were previously unfamiliar with.
Yep.
So what is your strategy for seeking out and choosing performances from musicians or groups that are new to you?
One great thing that they did this year that I think is new is they came up with curated schedules depending on what genre you like. So let's say you're really into indie music. There's a whole indie music schedule that's in the app that you can just add directly to your personal schedule. And then you can like select from there which of those acts are actually priorities or things you want to see. There's genres for country and Americana and like hip hop, all kinds of things. So that's one way. That's one thing I would definitely suggest. Look through those. Also, just like ask friends if you're kind of new to it and you're like, I kind of want to be with people. I don't necessarily want to go to a show by myself. Find out where your friends are going and tag along. And also ask friends who you share musical tastes with, or they have tastes that you admire. I'm asking my husband all the time, like, okay, so what's on your schedule? And then he just shared it with me. I was like, sweet, great, because he follows new music more than I do these days. So any of those ways really help you just find a way in and then go with what feels right.
Okay, Frankie, I might be hitting you up for your husband's recommendations this week.
Oh, also one more thing, the Spotify. I don't know if you've seen, they have Spotify playlists. So that's another way if you just want to, turn this playlist on in the background for the next couple of days, and when there's a song that comes on that you're like, what is this? Make sure to go see that artist.
Oh, that's great. That's very easy. I can definitely do that. One of the great things about Treefort that I'm really excited about is that the festival is so much bigger than just the music scene. I mean, I'm really excited about the music, but there's Ale Fort, Drag Fort, Art Fort, Comedy Fort, Yoga Fort, so many other forts. Do you incorporate these other forts into your Treefort week?
Oh, yes, I do. Sometimes it's hard I certainly don't hit them all, but I try to go to at least one non-music thing per day if I can. Certainly a few throughout the week. So yeah, I think that's another way that this festival is unique, is it does incorporate so many other elements of Boise's artistic scene and the creative people who live in town. And in some ways throughout the year, kind of hidden, but this one time a year, we have these 5 days where all this stuff is highlighted, and you have an opportunity to go to a poetry reading, and then to go to a hardcore punk show, and then to go check out some delicious food at Food Fort, and then to go to a drag show at the balcony. Like all of those elements, it just makes it so many layers, and it's so rich and feels like a way to tap into the city that we don't get throughout the year otherwise.
Love it. Okay, Frankie, inflation's up. you practically need a second job to afford groceries at this point.
Yep.
So for the people like me who are on a budget or for whom cost is a factor, is there a cheap or maybe even a free way to do Treefort?
Indeed, there is. I already mentioned the curated schedules that the Treefort folks put out. They included a Freefort section, which I think is really helpful. So a lot of those, I will say, are like Storyfort, which is free and open to anyone in the community. Podfort. So some of our podcasting colleagues, that will be a free event that anyone can attend. But then there's also, for people who want to see music and they want to do it for free, you could go to any of the record exchange shows. So they do these kind of secret, quote unquote, shows during the day, but they'll announce before the event who's actually performing. And that's a really nice, like family friendly event. And while you're at the record exchange, maybe buy a record too.
Yeah.
That would be good. There's also free shows at Boise Brewing again this year. And those are happening in the evening. So you don't need a wristband. You can get in and catch some great music and hang out at Boise Brewing, which is, within like the footprint of the festival. So you really feel like you're at the festival, even if you don't have a wristband. And then, there's cheap things to do too, but I think the free options, don't forget about them. There's a lot of them.
I am so excited. Frankie, thank you so much for joining me, sharing all of your years of Treefort wisdom so I can have a great festival experience. And thank you for joining me.
Yeah, see you at the venues.
That's all for today here on CityCast Boise. If you enjoyed the show, check out our Hey Boise newsletter for more Treefort information. We'll be back tomorrow to break down Boise's childcare crisis. Catch you later.